I am in love with a sheep.
I beg your pardon?
You have a very, very fascinating fetish.
That's what they call me at Matthews and Johnson's clinic. Mad. Because I had visions of explorations in sexual areas undreamed of by lesser human beings. It was I who first discovered how to make a man impotent by hiding his hat.
I think it could work. If we gave it a chance.
Don't you think you should be ashamed of this?
It's most distasteful in view of the fact that the sheep was under 18 years old.
So what?
You've been a naughty rabbi.
Blasphemy!
Hey, we're gonna make babies!
If you want to know how Woody Allen made a movie out of this book, you'll have to see the movie.
Okay, everything you always wanted to know about sex but were afraid to ask is not a very accurate or in any way successful adaptation of the work that it's based off, which is actually published in '68 by a legit doctor, and was trying to give constructive medical advice in a frank and helpful way on subjects that were taboo. The only reason, I guess, just the provocative nature of the title, and Woody Allen. Yeah. Let's throw this both in a boat. If I'd seen this before, I'd forgotten it, or I was so young that it just didn't make sense to me. I didn't really fully understand it. So part of the problem here, Jason, is that I went in excited to see this movie. For a few reasons, because it's earlier, sort of the crazy, fringier Woody Allen, which tends to be the stuff that I connected to more, just wanting to make me laugh and not, no agenda really beyond that. Any kind of angle I can find that will make you laugh, I will play that, and I respect that approach, especially in comedy. Be aggressive. You're allowed to be over the top in comedy, I think. Break all the rules you want in comedy, as far as I'm concerned. So I was excited about that, and it's one of these performances that I'd missed from Gene Wilder, who I love. Great. I love Gene Wilder, and he's employing one of his greatest assets as a comedic performer is his use of silence and pregnant pauses, and he is doing his Gene Wilder great. He is, I think, awesome in the movie, but his little segment, much like every other little segment in this, is a one-joke premise. Mm-hmm. And at the end of the day, Woody Allen or no, this is an episode of Saturday Night Live where each individual portion just goes on too long. As a 5-minute sketch, and we move on to the next 5-minute sketch, fine, but as 15 or 20 minutes, that we get the joke after the first 2 minutes. Mm-hmm. And if that was the case with one of the vignettes or two of the vignettes, I would still play defense for the movie. But I kind of feel that way about all of them.
Do you like one more than the other?
I mean, I could pick favorites and least favorites, I guess. But the pie chart would be more, or the chart graphic would be more of a straight line than a peaks and valleys. Yeah. If you know what I'm saying. I think that the first segment is easily my least favorite. Woody Allen as the jester and the chastity belt.
Yeah, it's a medieval thing, and we've already mentioned Vanessa Redgrave.
Yeah, the Groucho Marx mugging to the camera thing, which has been successful for me with Woody Allen in the past, just wasn't working for me there.
Not for this one.
And I Need the Latch to the Queen's Snatch is just not particularly funny. I don't think it was that funny then. It's considerably less funny now. And again, that sort of uncomfortable, I don't know, Woody Allen sort of involving himself.
Sorry, Lynn Redgrave, not Vanessa Redgrave. Now, driving me. We're struggling with this name today. Well,
but anyway, involving himself in a very sexual, physical performance with, at the time, one of the most sexually desirable women in the industry, right? And this is something that like I said, that will happen again and again. It was just this movie's turn. At least the woman in the later vignette was actually his wife, I guess, at the time that he was working. So for the public sex scenes that we get to.
Yes, the Fellini parody, as I took it,
sort of making fun of the 60s Fellini film. So yes, largely what we have here is a disappointing anthology comedy thing, like And on top of it being a disappointing anthology comedy thing, it kind of does an injustice, because I think the intention of the original work was a really good, noble thing, you know? We need to be able to be unprudish about talking about sexuality. There's real dangers and there's real repercussions, and if you could sort of present it in a way that you were entertaining and funny to sort of dilute the controversy of it, it could have been a really valuable thing. Or it could have just been stupid and bawdy and funny. Pick one of those things. But for me, I was really let down. I mean, I will not say anything bad about Gene Wilder. I will never say anything bad about Gene Wilder. And it has its moments, like most, these anthology sketchy shows do. But it's short, and it went on too long. There it is. That's where I start. We're starting in a not great place with Woody Allen, but here I am.
Well, and that's perfectly fine with me, because this is my, I believe, third time seeing this, and I don't know if it's watching it. We're in 2020 now, but I watched this one quite a while ago. I think probably last summer when I had some insomnia, and I thought I'll just take one of the 6 off of my plate here. And I remember enjoying it a little bit more in previous viewings. But it is so immature. But we're thinking that because people will mention that this is quite a good early Woody Allen film. It's like up there with Bananas.
It's well remembered.
And the only idea I can think of is the subversive nature of comedy in the late 60s into the early 70s was such that why not have this very unusual comedian buy up a film rights to a non-fiction medical book and turn it into this comedy anthology. I feel like at the time it was released, people found this absolutely hilarious and entertaining, and the fact that they were going to go to some places that were taboo about sexuality. 2019, 2020, I'm not sure how taboo. Well, the actions are taboo, but like talking about them is not taboo.
Not as much.
So the impact isn't there. So all I see is how juvenile Woody Allen's acting is and his approach to this material, with the exception of the Gene Wilder story, which is basically this man who falls in love with a sheep.
He's at first sight. He just locks eyes with a sheep, and it changes his world. And
they go there. He has sex with the sheep. He's in bed with the sheep. He leaves his wife for the sheep. You're laughing because that one was funny. I don't think they could stretch it out much more than they did, but that one was the only one this time where I was almost trying to rank the mini films in there, and so I was thinking, well, this is the one. If I'm to defend one in here, I will defend this one. But there are other ones that are kind of interesting to me, still very juvenile. This whole idea of an entire story happening among the sperm that are about to leave while this guy is on this date.
Yeah,
I kind of, in a guilty way, like that story too. I might, if you're in the right mood, I might have gone for that one a little bit.
The zinger's so patently obvious in that one.
It is.
It just didn't seem like raw, edgy, funny Woody Allen or intelligent Woody Allen.
I feel like I was desperate at the end to find something that I liked. And I just don't remember it being as disappointing as it is. So this is one of the ones where I've kind of switched my opinion, and the thumb is firmly down on this movie and this anthology. And I'm not sure I could ever give this. Who do I recommend this movie to?
Exactly.
Who's going to like this? I'm not even sure 12-year-old boys are going to like this. I mean, they might get a kick out of that.
Boob.
Yeah, I mean,
a
visual gag with this giant boob, which is just so stupid. I've never liked that particular brand of humor. And so when I've defended Woody Allen, it's for his verbal humor and his human interaction. So this was, to me, an easy pass.
Yeah.
Easy pass. It's just a completist type of thing that I have it in my movie collection, but...
The third story, we've talked about the first two. The first one's The Jester, the second one's the Gene Wilder and the Sheep. The third story is the one that's making an homage to Italian filmmaking.
Yeah, he was a fan, and he really respects Fellini. and Kurosawa, and Ingmar Bergman shows up in a lot of his, that influence shows up in a lot of his films.
I get what he's going for,
Yeah.
but it's insufferably self-indulgent. I mean, it really...
Which you could argue the Italian New Wave was insufferably self-indulgent as well.
He's
so.
hitting the nail right on the
Yeah.
head, but I mean, like...
Yeah.
I don't think that was a difficult thing for him to do. Apparently, he learned to speak his lines in Italian, like, phonetically. Like, he wrote them in English, told somebody, how would I say this in Italian, and he so he doesn't speak the language.
Like, he actually had to work for that acting performance.
Yeah. There was a little bit of work there.
And it's mixed.
And again, it's all about, him and this incredibly attractive woman having sex in public places, because that's the world that Woody Allen gets to live in for some reason.
But also, again, Italian New Wave films had that with these amazingly beautiful women and these older men who they have these relationships, and it doesn't completely make sense, at least in the world I live in. But
to him, it makes perfect sense because I guess the next one are transvestites homosexuals, which is based on the premise that Lou Jacobi wearing a dress is in of itself a hilarious thing.
Yeah, again, I'm sure that I'm a high school teacher, so I'm not insulting high school acting here. But I always have these boys who want to play women in this really ridiculous style, like is portrayed in this, and they are not Academy Award winning writers.
So I had nothing to say about that. The game show parody comes close to being funny. It reminds me of an old Monty Python sketch, there's it's a common sort of thing in sketch comedy to make fun of the ridiculously convoluted nature of some of those old shows. So the satire kind of works until it overstays its welcome, which it does.
I feel like there's a scene in Deconstructing Harry, which we'll get to later, about where his version of his sister is criticizing him for not being a self-hating Jew. And there's a little bit of that quality in here where you're forcing this Jewish couple to eat pork and so I think it can be viewed in bad taste, but he's trying to push boundaries. I have less of a problem about that. I kind of find it charming to see Regis Philbin as one of the celebrity guests. They get that 70s game show aesthetic, but these are all probably friends of Alan's and showing up in it. It's just not, it sits there. It's not bad, but it's not great.
Then we have the giant boob monster.
Yeah, which I don't like that story at all. I know a lot of people get amusement out of it. It's just not my type of humor.
I don't know. I just it just didn't strike me as particularly funny.
Homage to B movies, B horror movies, maybe. Instead of it being like a blob but it doesn't have that edge to it.
It made me think of Wadzilla from Chillerama, another movie that
yes, we did.
And I did. That's not a good association.
That's right. I knew there was something that bothered me about weird connection. Yeah.
Of course, what happens at ejaculation. Again, one joke premise goes on too long, and inexplicably, Burt Reynolds, who's like the biggest star in the world at this time,
enormous at that,
and he's got like 5 lines. It's just pointless.
It's mostly Tony Randall, was a great theater actor. He has more of a role, and then Alan sitting there nervously. What's going to happen if to me after this? It almost is. I guess it's sort of playing into the human characters he plays who have fears of death and what's going to happen after death, but from a sperm's point of view. Yeah. So it's fine, but I'm not. So it's not enough to save the movie for me.
That's the 7 stories that we read, and again, no high points, no low. Well, some low points.
The Gene Wilder performance you've mentioned is to me a high point. Yeah. And that story, I think I like a bit more than you do.
But I give all the praise to Gene Wilder himself. I think another actor, if almost any other actor was in that role, I don't think it would have been as funny to me.
Look at Willy Wonka is there, and
just the way his face freezes when he first sees it. Just like everything has changed for him as soon as he sees this animal. And it's just beautifully played. And I wish there was more of that.
Yeah.
And I love Gene Wilder, and
it almost makes you want to see a movie starring Gene Wilder instead.
Yeah,
and if you like Gene Wilder,
the segment.
Just watch that segment and that segment alone.
Honestly, yeah. And again, even that, it's a one joke premise, but it's kind of funny.
Yeah, I think we're in agreement.